All right. Well, hello, everybody. Jonathan Shambroom here. I will call the library board meeting of April 11th to order now, starting with a roll call. Please announce yourself, each person.
Mel Futterman, there.
Hi, Mel. Jeff?
Jeff Gunderson here.
Andy?
Andy Ravel here.
Okay, Jonathan Shambroom here. So we have a quorum. Let's
Trustee Amir is not here. He's absent. So
yeah, no, Amir Mofaji absent. Okay. And Franklin Escobedo, our community services director here present. Thank you all. So item number 2 on the agenda, approval of consent calendar. Let us review and approve those minutes. Would anybody like to address or raise any topic from those minutes? Okay, hearing none. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of February 28th, 2022?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, so moved.
And I apologize, Jonathan, for my video not working for some reason on here. So I think it's the way I logged in or something, but
Jeff, it's quite all right.
really here.
Miss your smiling face, but appreciate your presence. Okay, Franklin, are there members of the public present?
there are no members of the public in the audience at the moment. So
Okay, so item 3, public comment is moot. We'll skip that. Item number 4, board member reports and comments. Does any board member have anything to report or to comment on? Armel.
I have one observation that walking by the library recently, I've seen many bags of donated books sitting underneath the sign that says no donations. So I thought that at some point we could have a discussion, or maybe just what can we do so that you're not flooded with unwanted books?
Okay. Shall we capture that as a topic for a future meeting, add it to the agenda, and then can address it? Okay. And Franklin, are you capturing notes and recording that?
it's in the recording.
Fantastic. Okay. Armel, thank you for that observation, something to address. Does anybody else have a report or a comment? Okay, thank you. Hearing none. Item number 5, the library director's oral report. Franklin, I turn it to you for this.
Okay, so I think that we've got a lot of stuff going on. I will be going on vacation starting tomorrow, and then so I'll be out for the week and I'll be back. I always have more things in my head and then it gets all flummoxed when I need to write it down. But anyway, so it was just we're hopefully that this week the library in one position will open up, and that will start the process. And we're hoping by the target was like the second week of May to do the interviews, and then the following week to do the second interview. And so hopefully by June, we'll have somebody on board. Cross our fingers. So we are going to open it up a little more to library school students, so people who have almost finished with their degree, because this we're hoping will give us a pool of broader pool of candidates, and also will give us somebody we can give our baggage to, and others, instead of them coming from somewhere else with somebody else's baggage. So we'll be the ones that train them. So that's true. We're working towards programming. That's the next part. We're trying to get our programming up and running. We're hoping to get I'm hoping to get some of the furniture back into the building at the end of the month. I know people are asking, but we keep trying to remind people that the pandemic's not over and that children are still not being vaccinated. So that is one of our biggest concerns. We're aiming to start story time in Dolliver Park first. So right down the street from us, we'll do story time. It gives us an outdoor space, and we can have a bigger crowd than we can inside the library. And we're starting to work on our summer reading programs. And that's what me and Teresa have been doing. We're starting to reach out to local businesses for gifts and prizes. And we're working on trying to get a new tote bag. So we like you to do tote bag because we will be at the main event at Bon Air Shopping Center for the anniversary and the historical thing. So we'll have community services department will be out there, and we'll be peddling our wares for summer school and for the library's reading program. And we'll have some other stuff to hand out as well. And as you may have known, the touch truck is coming along really well. There's just little bits and pieces that we're trying to put together. Unfortunately, it's on a Sunday, and so it'll just be me and hopefully one of my part-time library aides. Both my librarians are unavailable to work. Teresa was on vacation, and my Jessica had a prior commitment as well. So it'll just be me and hopefully the library aide or some volunteers to come help us out. So to issue, because the whole goal too is to issue some library cards for new families who don't have cards yet. So, but we'll see how that all pans out. But we're looking forward to it, and it's exciting that we're going to have this big event coming up. And oh, and Barbara's in the audience now, but we'll wait till you get to your report, Barbara. So, but yeah, we're working on the stuff for that, and that's going to be really exciting. What was the other big thing? Well, part of it's in the other documents, so we'll go over all that stuff. So,
Franklin, what is the date for the Touch a Truck event?
Sunday, May 22nd. Hopefully that's what Barbara had her hand raised for. Let me unmute you, Barbara. Okay, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Hi, Barbara.
Hello, Jonathan. How are you?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. How do I get so you won't see my face, right? But
No, not yet, not until you actually do your report, because when you do your report, I'll pull you onto the panel. We thought you had a public comment at the moment. So.
Sounds good. Yeah, the reason I raised my hand, Franklin, was I was wondering if having police there might help. An experienced library person.
Well, yeah, because that's what I'm saying. We might have to draw back on our volunteers to help us, because it was funny. I just for some reason thought we were doing this on a Saturday, and when I was at the meeting, I realized, oh, it's a Sunday, and then I came back and asked the staff, and I forgot Teresa was on vacation. So there's other stuff. There was stuff going on. So again, I'm here to talk about stuff I should talk about. So, sorry.
That's all. I'll wait till my report, and
Okay.
Jonathan and I can ask. I can answer any questions Jonathan has then.
Okay, great. Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah.
Franklin, continuing, are there more items in your oral report?
Not that I can remember at the moment.
Okay, very good. Thanks. So that'll conclude that. Item number 6, old business items. I'll turn this back again to you, Franklin. And
Yeah, so we decided to skip the stats this month. So we're just because we were the point when we talk about the other part is to find out what you really want to know. So showing you numbers isn't always as helpful, and especially too because I don't expect you guys to remember any of those numbers either. Because when I think about it, you just know that children's is doing well, adult books are doing well, that kind of stuff. But for programming though, we have Dias de los Niños happening. We're doing that also at Dolliver Park at the end of April on the 30th. And we have a performer coming who will do a performance at that event. We got a feather, so we'll be able to put that the Larkspur Library is at the park. And then we'll use that again during the summertime when we do our pop-up libraries. So yeah, I think the book clubs, there's just trying to get a lot of stuff done. The egg hunt is actually on the 16th. In the park, that's the recreation joint between Corte Madera and Larkspur. So don't forget to take your children to the town park to go find eggs this year. So next year it'll be, I think, back at Piper. But I know this year we had a lot of issues because of the SDG or PG&E. It's the wrong city, but PG&E was putting in the lines, and they were using the Piper parking lot for staging. And now I think the water department is going to be coming in there too, because they're doing the reclamation thing. So it's going to be a little busy this summer as well, the parking lot. So but yeah, for programming, we're getting ready for a NASA one. Teresa has gone to training. We will be closed on the 29th though. We won't have curbside. Actually, all the staff are going to a safety training and it's a de-escalation training the state library is putting on. So it was a free thing. It's an all-day event though. So both everybody was sort of like, oh, but I think it's because there's 2 trainings back to back, and we'll have a lunch break in between. But it'll give them some training on de-escalating, hostile patrons, angry patrons, and then safety training. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but we decided it was free, and we wanted to jump on board to get the training for the staff. And then we're looking for some more customer service training that will be down the line. But those are the big programs, and it's in the book club. I think Armel, you're in the book club, yeah.
I am.
So and then so that's it, and then we're trying to catch up. We every time we think we're ahead of ourselves, we end up falling behind because something goes wrong. So again, me and Teresa have been talking about trying to catch up and plan ahead. But the bulk of the summer, the overlaying stuff for summer is done. It's just now we're trying to get all the performers ready and lined up. So, and it's still one of these things where we're not sure what we can do inside the building, or what we're going to be in the building. So those are some of these questions that are like sort of all lingering for us. So, but we're trying to sort of aim to do it outside, and that way we can feel more comfortable with little kids being around and not have to worry about them being inside the library, even though we want them to come inside to check out books. But it's rather they be safer if they're in a large group outside versus inside the library. So.
Got it. Okay. Excellent. If that concludes the old business items.
Well, there's the digital wish list. So I actually wanted you guys to get your feedback now on updating this. I think I attached the stuff where you saw stuff was crossed out on it if you opened it up this time. But we're trying to figure out what do we need to add. I know the staff started, when we started looking at it, was more of a bigger wish list, starting to put big capital improvement items on there. But then we're still thinking about digital resources, and then I think eventually it'll morph into a general wish list that we'll use to go to the Friends, the foundation, and to look for grant opportunities for. But what are the big things that you think that we should have that we don't have right now? And right now, a lot of the wish list stuff was for just getting us through curbside and dealing with COVID. Some of the databases are still up in the air. We're not sure if they're doing well enough to justify renewing after the 3rd year. Consumer Reports is still doing really well, but Udemy is the one that I'm really hesitant about because, like I said, there's issues with people logging in using mobile devices, and especially since there's parts of Larkspur that are very don't have wired internet. They have to use the mobile hotspots, and so the hotspots are pinging off Mill Valley, which is like Udemy says that's not Larkspur, so it won't let them into the database. So those are one of the things we got to figure out. Is there a different type of program that we want that we could utilize? But it's just looking for those things. And what are the things that you think we should add to the wish list to add to those resources that we have? So,
Franklin, thank you. That's helpful. I have a question for you.
Mhm.
On the wish list that you enclosed a link to, can you distinguish the items that are already funded versus?
Most of them that had funding had them written next to them. They were funding. The ones that are crossed out have been taken care of. Like the big capital improvement ones, which was the locker and RFID. Those got paid for by the Friends and the county. Or not the Friends, the foundation, Larkspur Library Foundation paid for the locker. The county paid for RFID. There will be things like a book drop, interior book drop that has the RFID scanner in it that you would come in and just drop your book in and it checks it in for you. And then if you want a receipt, it'll spit a receipt out for you. Those will go on that wish list because those are expensive items. We are supposed to be getting a new self-checkout machine for free from Biblioteca. It was a deal that they had with the with MarinNet to get us to purchase their stuff. And I think the bulk of the stuff has come in now, but like every tech company, there's issues with customer service. And I know MarinNet has not been happy with the customer service lately, but they're like every other company that's struggling to maintain staffing levels and to fulfill deadlines when everything's stuck in the shipment process. So things got delayed, just like the locker did. Like I remember telling the MarinNet board not to hold their breath. It was like we ordered that locker, and they told us, oh, it'd be like 6 to 8 weeks it would come, and then a year and a half later we finally got it. So it's I was sort of expecting this to happen. So I think they kept forgetting that that's what reality was right now, is that we have to wait for it. So, but Yeah, so a lot of the stuff too that the staff were looking at was more furniture wise, shelving, like trying to fix the shelving issues that we have, things like that. But stuff that you know, I keep reminding them, anything that we buy, we have to be able to pick up and take with us to wherever we go. And some things we can't really fix really well without really having to remodel the whole building.
So I have a comment and a question.
Mhm.
The wish list, for me personally, to add to the wish list is really difficult, not knowing exactly what programs you want to develop. And I would just remain general to give the guidance to add to the wish list items that are needed for programs that are up and running and popular, and where those are really needed now as a priority. And that leads me to my question, which is the self-checking device that's behind the library. I forget the formal name of
The
it.
locker, the holding locker, yeah.
There we go. I would like to know how it's working and if there are any items that should be added to it to make it more, do people need to have library cards? Do you need money to make new, better library cards for those of us who have battered?
Well, no, right now, so when the press release goes out, it's just like half done now. We were editing it, and we're going back and forth with the editing of the press release. But we are going to offer people a free library card. So if they've lost their cards, if they haven't seen it in 20 years, we'll give them a new library card number for free. Though a lot of people who they memorize their card number, so they don't want to give up that number, but they can use the MarinNet app on their phone and create a digital library card. So those are the two ways to use it, because you do need a card with you, but if you do have it memorized, you can key in the barcode number, and then that will open the locker for you. For right now, because it still hasn't been widely publicized, it's getting used and people are asking about it, and it's starting to get more, but we're hoping that once the press release goes out, we'll start getting more people using it, because there's also anybody with the MarinNet library card can use it. They just have to come over to Larkspur to get it. So if somebody knows that they can't get to Mill Valley, but they're driving by Larkspur, they can come by the locker and pick it up. The locker can also be expanded. So when we do move and it moves with us, it will have more space and we can add more base to it and add more lockers to it. So it can grow.
So
and that was one of the good things about it. So
that can be an item to the wish list as a bigger, more lockers, and also, but in the immediate, you do not see any items that need to be put on the wish list related to that locker.
No, it's mostly now stuff that's RFID related.
It's mostly information.
And the RFID is like I said, it's a self-checking in drop. So you would put your book in the drop, your video in the drop, and it checks it in for us, and it just falls into the chute, and then we put it away. But yeah, and I think the other thing we would love, but we can't afford, and we don't have the space for it, is the automated handling system, which would be the entire footprint of the library. So we're not going to get one of those. We have to deal with just the little chute that checks it in. And because originally my plan was to put a book drop in the hallway coming in from the front doors into City Hall, that people could just drop their books, where we're checking the books right now. They would just drop their book in there and it would get checked in. Instead of right now, they've always taken it to the counter. But we were trying to get a spot where we would do it in the back, but there's no point in knocking a hole in the wall if we're going to move out of here in several months. And we still don't know. We don't know what the timeline is for leaving City Hall. So,
Franklin, could you clarify that the funding for, what is the status of the RFID?
The RFID was funded by the county of Marin. They gave money to MarinNet to distribute between all the libraries, so all the libraries benefited from that money. That was from the county board of supervisors, because they knew that we had been trying to, and I think this is sort of a catalyst from Barbara too, from them talking to Sarah Jones, and Sarah talking, and me talking to Katie Rice. So it's just that they really got to understand that, that money benefits all the libraries in the county. And that's what helped pay for RFID, because it's been a long project that Sarah Jones had wanted for the county. As you know, I wanted it for Larkspur, and I was bound to determine if no one else did it, we were gonna do it on our own, with the foundation helping to pay for it, because it's modern, but it also creates a better workflow for the staff, so there's less, handling the material. You
Is
just
it
scan it.
operational now?
Yeah.
It's up and running?
Yeah, we're hopefully, they told me last week that the last of the pads came in. So we'll just move the two self-checkouts do have them on there. There's one pad that's been in the back that we've been using to tag material that will go back out to the checkout desk. So the reference desk will have one of it and the checkout desk will have the other pad. And then we'll get the pads in the back. So Jessica will get a little one and we'll get another one in the check-in room. So those will be our paths to check material in and out. So we're almost done with the collection conversion. We just got a few more bays of the 900s, and then we have all the audio, the CDs to do. But pretty much the backstage to get the bulk of the tagging done for us, besides what we had already done before. But that was a really, once they hit their mark, they were out. So. And I kept trying to remind myself that was what was going to happen. So we've just slowly been trying to get through the last of the adult collection. And we still have, I think we need to do the holiday books, but we're almost done with the books. And that's the good part. And then we'll do the magazines. And like I said, the CDs are the last, because that's actually the most cumbersome one is the CDs. So we're almost done. So, and then the county is, I think, falling behind. Originally, the target date to finish everybody was in June, but it sounds like it may now be fall just because the county's having staffing issues as well. So,
Right. Thank you, Franklin. Are there other comments or questions on the wish list update?
but my thing for things that you need or want, that's because you guys are citizens of Larkspur as well. So I know people keep asking us for Hoopla. So eventually Hoopla will go on that wish list. But there, I don't know if there's something that you saw at another library that you liked, or a resource that you think would be good if they have a library version of it. Because like Udemy's the library version. We have Ancestry, which is the library version. There's I don't know what other ones are out there that you could get library versions for. But if you saw something that you thought would be really nice to have, or that would be useful for everybody, think about those things and just email me if you do think of something else later on. So
I think that's good. I also personally am interested in talking through the metrics and reporting, which I think can inform some of our input on the wish list based on how things are being used, what the appetite and where the demand is. And in order to judge that, we need some of those data insights.
yeah, and those are really frustrating because they're not all the same.
True.
It's really the way some do it by login, some do it by retrieval, some do it by how long they were on the site, and it's really like this sort of very confusing thing. But we do get the data every year because we do have to do, usually for the state report, we have to do the retrievals, how many retrievals were done. So that's usually what we're looking at in that. So this is why I know it's been really confusing over the years, because every year you get these databases that track different things, and it's just some reasoning they have at the companies that they think this is the metric we should follow. So it doesn't always mesh well with what we're trying to find out. So
Understood. Okay, well, thank you.
you're welcome.
Unless any other requests, we'll move to item number 7, the new business items, and starting 7.1 with library metrics and reporting. Again, back to you, Franklin, and referencing the document which you have circulated a link to.
Yeah, so the big thing is those metrics in that report are the ones that we are required to do. The state report is probably the most important one, just because it does determine our funding. It's also in the state report that we've reported every year that the building needed to be, it was in disrepair. I know the last one they asked me how much it would cost, and I told them 10 million. And now it's probably getting more than that, but those are the ones that we have to report to the state. Usually in the budget season, you guys help me do the goals. And so those goals were in last year's. So that's also what I was hoping today you would give me some more goals that we can add, because I am working on the budget narrative for the 22-23 fiscal year at the moment. We normally would have gone over it last month, but we got behind and I was working on the grant. And the minute I was done with the grant, I had a week to get the budget done. So, so the budget is been turned in. We had a flat budget. one of the biggest problems we had, it was the marine net costs went up really a lot. And because we don't have any growth in our budget, we had to play peanuts with our funding. So we had to move a lot of stuff around to cover that marine net cost. But right now we're on track for, if you read through the report, you saw the goals that we had. We are on track with some of them. The only one that has not been touched again, and it's driving me nuts, is the disaster preparedness plan. That has been on my to-do list since I started here because of the fire danger we have, and because a lot of libraries that are sort of like us have not survived the wildfires. So I wanted to make sure that we had some sort of plan in place. But it's just having the time to sit down to do that. I have the templates for it. I know I can work with Abbott at Sausalito because we're the buddy libraries. We're supposed to help each other get these projects done, but I haven't had a chance to find out how much Sausalito has even done on theirs. Just because Abbott as well, it wears a couple hats besides being the library director. But it is good to have a plan because we at least should tell the firemen what really is worth saving if they can get here to save it. Granted that everybody's told me that might be impossible with this building. So the thing we might want to save is the locker in the back, but I don't know if they can move that really easily or not. But it's good to have a preparedness plan because we know what to do if something happened, like where to go, who to call, where things are at, where the insurance should be done. It's that kind of plan like that. And as well as, like I said, having stuff that's, if we had archives, we'd want to make sure that stuff was, rescued from the archives, but we don't. So that's in the next one too. But so for the question I asked you guys, it's like, so what do you think should be the measure of success? How would you want to see that in a report? How would you want us to measure that? Because I know a lot of times, it's, people talk about programming, the number of programs we had. And I know for a while under Janice, we had a ginormous amount of programming that was going on. But my big thing was, like I told Teresa, like I was trying to get us to think about outcome-based programming. And now outcome-based programming is looking at programming on why you're doing the program. What is the point of doing this program, and what do you want the patrons to walk away with? What do you want them to learn? I mean, for story time, it's a simple one. It's literacy. We want kids to read. We want them to have a love of reading. But are we instilling that into the parents to take home with them? Which for the most part we do. But we wanted to really look at outcome-based programming. Looks at why you do a program. So that's really to start thinking of, instead of just doing something to do something, we're doing something because it's going to benefit the public. It's going to benefit the patrons who come into the library. So me and Teresa have been talking about this, like I think on and off for like 2 years now. It's just we haven't had a chance to sit down and look at it. There's other things that we wanted to do that will be part of the strategic plan, like needs assessment, community surveys, community input, to find out what we're doing and what we're not doing and what they really would like to do. But this also works for recreation as well. So that's why it'll be mixed together for both. But as you guys are our representatives to the public and to state and to other officials, what do you think, what do you have in your mind that you think should be what you could measure success for?
Relevance, if I may say so. Just one of the questions that I encounter many times as I talk to people is, why do we need to have a Larkspur library that is city run? And each time I say it's because it gives us the independence to have programs that we want, and they are relevant to whoever lives here. And while I do not know what those programs are exactly, as Jonathan said, it is reflected by what the public needs and what is currently being used and how we can further that direction. This is what is most important, is so that our library is relevant and not redundant and not a copycat of another one. And that I don't expect anyone in the public to ever really understand it, but as long as they use it and enjoy it and it serves them, then we've done what we need to do.
Well, that's also trying to find out what people want. And if we don't find out what people want, how are we relevant? And that's what I kept telling Teresa when I started, was like, we shouldn't be copying San Rafael and the county. We should be doing stuff that's unique to us, because that makes us different. And that's what makes us stand out from the rest of the county libraries and the other city libraries. But Sometimes it's easier just to copy someone else because you don't have a lot of time. So but for me, it's like,
Oh, Franklin, you just went on mute.
You went mute.
Franklin, could you repeat yourself, please? Can't hear you. Oh, no.
it's a problem.
Franklin, oh. Franklin, try it again. I think we hear you now.
It's no, I'm getting an unstable internet
Oh, yeah.
connection because that means I'm connected to the city network. So let me switch over to the library network. So
Okay, we're gonna add that to our wish list. Better connectivity.
we have it. So okay,
Oh.
hopefully this is better because the library's network's on Scenic, so which is really high end. The city's network.
We hear you loud and clear now.
Yeah, the city's network has been having issues, and that sometimes when I'm in my desk, it'll connect to the city one, which is supposed to be what it does, but it doesn't have the most stability because that's what happened for the last several meetings that City Hall has been having. They get cut off. So this is also, I also was talking to Teresa about, we don't really ever do surveys of the events. Like, what did you think of it? What did you learn? What did you not like about it? You know, that kind of feedback that you would normally do it, like, you know, the master gardeners do. You know, they send that feedback out. So you're getting that constant feedback so you can evolve and change things. So it's just trying to get the time to do it to a way that we can do it simply to give it out to the patrons to find out, did they like the program? You know, that's where I think, and that's what would, like I said, Amel, would really make us relevant because you are getting that feedback from the public, and that's what we need to get is the feedback from the public. Because I mean, we rely on their friends too, because the friends are the public as well, so they have great ideas, and so they'll you know, help us mold programs. But we want to make sure that it is like something that everybody's getting. But I also know that we need to make sure that we get the word out, because that's the big thing is like a lot of times people don't know that we have a program going on, and this is why I was really happy for doing outreach this in May, because it gets us back in front of people who don't think that the library is relevant at all, that they don't need the library because they have a bookstore and they have ebooks, and they don't realize that we have free ebooks. They don't have to invest all this money on books that we have for them for free. But that's again, we got to get out in front of people and in front of them to remind them that we're not just this old little quiet place that everybody, you know, remembers from their childhood that was really quiet. And, you know, we want to show them why we're still relevant. And I think that really helped with the pandemic because we were able to show them digital resources that we'd had for such a long time that weren't being used. We were able to dust off the digital dust. And then people were using it again. So that's what really, and we've seen that in our stats because the ebook collections have the growth of them, and my worry about the sustainability of those is really, you know, hard because they are very, very popular collections now. The children's and teen collections are finally being used at a much higher rate in the ebooks than they were before. So,
Hey, Franklin, I was just going to add that to me, like, I think you've done a great job with that reporting of metrics in terms of the digital stuff and the circulation. And I love that you always include, you know, several months or the prior year. So we see the pattern, because for me, I mean, that's, you know, obviously one of the big things that people utilize the library for, and to be able to see those trends. And I see it on the wish list, right? Which is a lot of different things that we're plugging into this digital infrastructure. And I think that reporting is great for me. I also love the outcome. I think what Armel is saying is like, how do we stay relevant? How do we, you know, figure out what the community needs? I don't know how we do that necessarily outside of, you know, what you said, surveys and questionnaires and that kind of stuff. But I mean, the stuff that we're reporting now is very useful in my mind.
Well, the one thing that I pointed out to somebody too is that, you know, it looks like we don't need a teen collection, but we do. We know if there was more teen books and more children's books, the circulation would be higher. So sometimes the data is not the best, because I could see this happen in the past, that they look at the data and like, well, all the adult books are the popular collection, so we're going to invest all of our money into the adult books. But if you don't have a teen book, you don't have it, there's no one's ever going to ask for it. It's never going to get a stat for it. And so this, we do know, and it's funny because when I was looking back through old board documents to see if Janice was showing the board the stats, and it didn't look like she was, but this need for teen programming and teen collection has been a long struggle. And we're in the process now of weeding some more of the adult collection to move it all upstairs. At least the biographies will go upstairs, which will expand the teen area. We'll be able to get more shelving in for teens. So we can start to grow the collection, which we hope would bring more teens into the library. So, because that's still one of the issues is the collection. If you don't have the books, and you've both told me this before, that your children come in and couldn't find something and they went and got it at the bookstore. So we want to make sure that we can at least have something or that it's in the collection, but we need to make the space. And so we're going to have to use all the shelves again, all the way to the floor to make the move happen. But it's like I always remind people, if a patron cannot get down on this to the bottom shelf, that's what we're here for. We're supposed to help those patrons get down on the bottom and pick the book up for them. So that's what we're here for. We'll help them do that. But right now, the ADA issues that we have at the second floor anyway, people who have trouble getting down on the bottom floor probably can't get up the stairs either. So, but we're gonna try to get most of that all moved up so we can expand the teen collection and then grow a little more of the children's footprint, because children's also it's pretty, if you really look at the stats over 5 years, children's have almost outdone circulation of the adult collection. There's just more of the adult collection. So it looks like the adult collection is doing really well, but it's that children's really have, for the small collection we have, it does the lion's share of the checkouts. So, and that's even books coming from all the other libraries coming to our patrons. So.
And I know we talked about that before. In terms of the teens, do we know if they use the electronic material more than and again, I understand if we don't have the book material, they will not be able to use it more. But do they have an activity, online activity, that is significant and that we can develop there and put on our wish list more programs that are interested to teens and getting them to the library through the electronic door rather than the front door?
Yeah, we know from anecdotal history and from teens themselves that manga, which is the Japanese comic,
Right.
We are so far behind. There's no way we would ever be able to catch up with some of the series. They're so long, but the MarinNet, the children's working group realized that children and teens realized that this was something that teens were using all the time. And I know this from when I was a teen librarian, that the teens who love manga find it online faster than it's found in print. So they'll go online, read the whole book online before they ever get the print book. So they've started to add the manga into the Overdrive collection. So that would start to bring that collection in. Because right now, even if we got like a bequest of money, we don't have the space or the money to buy 60 volumes of a graphic novel that's been out for a while and still publishing. I think there are 2, Bleach and Naruto and Boruto are some of the biggest manga collections out there because they're super popular and they're still ongoing. And so they have volume after volume coming out. Like there's usually, I want to say 2 volumes every 2 months come out. So, and we're like, and this has been going on for several years now. And the last time I looked at, they were at volume 60. And I think they have to at least be in the 90s now.
Is there other, well, manga is the actual story. I mean, it's a, is there something else, some other program, some other that could be added and get the teen that's not exactly the manga program?
No, there's really, I mean, because the teens jump around all the time. So anytime you think you've got a platform, it's dead by the time you get it incorporated into the system. This was like, it's funny because people, I remember we're all upset about MySpace, but then MySpace died and Facebook came alive. Now Facebook's dead to teens and now they're all into TikTok. So it just goes from one platform to the other. But it's also really depending on what the kids are doing. I know some teens who were in the art classes like the Adobe suites because they could use the Creative Cloud. But other teens, it's not what they're using at all. So it's really, teens are in electronics and digital resources are a lot harder to pin down. The stuff that I always thought was the tried and true was just AP test SATs. Just buy that little core of tests and you were good to go because you didn't have to worry about the print books anymore.
And how is that going, the test prep?
We don't have that database. That's when, and as far as we know, we don't even have a lot of teens coming in asking for those books. I think a lot of the teens in the area are getting tutored or go to the classes, so they don't need to come to the library to ask for the books. We have them, but most of them were reference circulating, but I told Jessica, just make them all circulating. So they should just all be checkoutable, but nobody really, even while we were closed, ever asked for an AP book, never asked for the SAT book.
Is that people don't know about it?
No, I think that the teens in Marin are getting a lot better college prep work done. And their parents are actually paying a little more to get the test prep done.
Yeah, but those are expensive books.
They were very expensive. Even the test is expensive.
I wish I had known they were at the library. Is there a way to maybe let the counseling office in the high schools and let
I'll check with Teresa to see if she can reach out to the counselors.
Not every teen in Marin.
Well, no, and we do know that there is we know that there's a disparity, that there are some teens that can afford that test prep.
Yeah.
But that was one thing too, when we got the database in Coronado, but it wasn't used as much because it was the same issue. A lot of the parents were sending their kids to the test prep courses and workshops, and they had tutors, so they weren't using the public library stuff as much. But
and that might be worth a call to the counseling office at Redwood, and especially at Tamiskal, where you have teens who are struggling to start with, and the other high school down the Doherty Drive, and they're close enough that they could come and check them out.
Yeah, no, and that's the whole point too. That's the whole point of us trying to move over there too. It's right down the street. So
I want to give everybody also a chance to weigh in or ask. And Jeff, just specifically, are there other thoughts that you have on this, requests or comments? Looking at stats and the metrics.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting to see all the circulation statistics and how many uses and retrievals there are from databases and things. And I think you're doing exactly the right thing in trying to hustle those to a wide population as you possibly can. I do think the programming is important, and you should stress that. And as Armel says, the relevancy of everything too. Like when you think of graphic novels and things for teens, is there any programming for teens that might bring them in? Maybe somebody who is a cartoonist and, does those kinds of things that might attract a handful of, high school kids or middle school kids, and then they tell their friends. But God, it's so difficult to figure out how to, be an influencer in that world, how the library can do that exactly. But I think of getting just library cards in people's hands too. And that's why the programming and even, the Touch the Truck event and other things, if we can just somehow promote things that way. But I think you're doing everything possible. I'm racking my brain as to what you can do.
What we need to do, it needs to happen. And it's probably possible now that we have more teen volunteers. We have had an increase in teen volunteers, which is really nice. But the next step is to create the teen advisory board, because they would be the ones that would say, hey, what kind of programs they want to do. And so, but that's what I'm sort of waiting for, because I'm not supposed to do it. I would love to do it, but I'm not supposed to do it. So I'm hoping that when we get the new librarian on board, that will be something I task them to start, because Teresa has done a great job of getting the teams in. So we have a lot more volunteers than we did before when we first started. Well, at least when I first started, so into COVID. So we have our teen volunteers now outnumber our adult volunteers. We only have a couple adult volunteers left. So, but I keep trying to find someone who can play Larky and someone who can play the handler for Larky. So Larky can go to events. But it's like I told Teresa, we just need to reach out to the drama department at school and see which teens want to do that, because I never had a problem finding teen volunteers in Oceanside to play Splash, who was our library mascot there. So I think we'll find some kids that want to do it. And I think in the past we did have a couple teens who did it a long time ago, because we have a picture of one in a chair with Larky's head off. So it was a really fun picture. But I think once we get a teen advisor up and going and a solid core of teen volunteers that will stay with us for a while, it'll start to get better, and that will draw the teens into.
I think that's excellent, Franklin. I highly support a teen advisory, panel. I think that's great. I wanted to save my comments to the end of the discussion, and I have a few, so I'll add them now. One is, Armel, I strongly agree with the relevancy theme that you bring up. And to me, in order to be relevant, we have to understand the audience. Like, to evaluate relevancy, what I think I'd like to see and suggest is more outbound surveys and questionnaires for two reasons. One, to actually hear what the various cohorts in our community are requesting or what they are using and appreciating. And I think that goes hand in hand with digital stats on how programs and resources are currently being used, but always in context of, out of this total pool or this many visitors, here's how the time was spent, or here's what people were using. But the other thing about a survey or questionnaire is simply seeing participation. How many respondents do we get? And it would be great to have the whole community aware that they're capable, they have the ability to make a request. And I don't even think the community at large realizes they can ask for really anything they want. Doesn't mean they'll get it, but I'd love to see.
It'd be nice to know.
Yeah, I'd love to see participation or just response rate to a community survey also measured and steadily rise, which makes the responses meaningful. And then you can just compare, here's what people are asking for, here's what we're providing. And there's some finesse, on surveys that, we can just use best practices there. But that would be my thing, is let's make sure we're frequently and consistently asking our community to complement the anecdotal insights we do get and the stats and what a teen advisory panel may get. So that's
and the teens always ask for the moon, and then we gotta tamper it down, because they'd ask for really funny stuff, for stuff that we couldn't afford. But the big thing is just getting that feedback from the public is important, because we don't know. We hear certain things that they want, but it's just the programming itself it'd be good to know what kind of programs they want, and what would incentivize you to come to the library to an event that no one else is doing. And so that's the one thing that was trying to find that thing. But we need to ask the patrons these questions. We need to ask them.
Is there a suggestion box somewhere in the library?
No, we don't have a suggestion box. So
at least patrons who come in, and maybe on the website, and I know that you've talked many times about that website and it's being redone, but maybe somewhere on the website having a suggestion so that we could
I think it's actually in Biblio comments that into the catalog. I think there's a patron request button, I know for sure, because we do get those, but I
think that's a great idea, to have a good old fashioned suggestion box in the library itself.
But the request on the website, to me, it sounds like I'm requesting a specific book. It's
and that's what a lot of people are doing. They're requesting a specific book, and then we do get the random ones. But yeah, I think just having a box would be. Though I think we'll get a hit or miss of complaints and.
Of course, we will.
Of other things, but it's just to me it was always but the thing is too is doing an engaged work questionnaire and engagement, because there was something that I was working on the Harwood Institute as a way of engaging the public with the library in the city, but I left before I had finished the training on that. But it's one of the things that they talked about, and something I wanted to do, because it's important to do those focus groups with the community. But you're finding out the people who don't, like, my big thing has always been who's not using the library, who's not coming in here, and who thinks that we're not relevant anymore. And so those are the ones I always want to ask the questions of, like, why do you think you're not
So it
it's
could
not worth it
be
anymore.
that to find those people who are not using the library, it would be in the future if there's ever a community event where we could have a table and where people could just stop by and make suggestions, and we can ask them, are you using the library? What are you using, and why are you not using the library? Why, what do you think it is? And maybe uh, have a presence, and it would be random, it would be whoever is walking by, but just have or library open house once.
Well, I know that the Larkspur Library Foundation just want to do an open house, so at some point in time we'll do that in the future. But yeah, that's what we're doing at the Bon Air event, is sort of that thing. We're gonna have a prize wheel and we'll give away some prizes to lure people, and then they do the passport at the passport prize. So everybody has to sign. You go to every booth to get it signed so they can try to win a prize. So that incentivizes the public to stop by. But having stuff that visually that they didn't know we had, like I remember going to outreach and showing people we had ebooks, and they were like, "Wow, you have those? I've been paying a fortune for those." So it's that kind of little stuff. But you do that, like you said, Armel, outreach. The people who don't come in here, it's always great to be, and that's also the reason too why we're trying to do pop-up library this summer.
It will be interesting after the May 22nd event to hear the feedback of who came by, what did they say, whether they knew about that there's even a library, and getting all of these, and that could be a drop in the bucket of the information needed for moving forward.
Well, yeah, the May event is like, there's two different ones. There's the Bon Air event that's that will be at the library, the community service department will be at, and then we have our own, the Friends event with the Commons and the Foundation. Is, I guess it's a fundraiser. So, but that's going to be a huge community event. So I'm sure that will be a huge draw too from neighboring towns as well. So fingers crossed.
Franklin, one other suggestion, I've been looking at the Larkspur Library website, and you know, a consideration is add a clear prompt on the homepage for the community to make a request. And it could be 3 different types. One could be catalog for a specific, you know, book or any material. Another request could be for programming, and another request could be for services. If that exists already, I'm not sure where it is.
No, I don't think it would be something we'd have to create, because what's frustrating with this is that we're like 2 years behind on this refresh. The company had been humming and hawing, and I think right now the project has been handed over to the city clerk because Shannon's we lost some city staff, so we're still in the filling gaps, and so I know this is falling behind. But I know the last time I talked to Shannon, there was a company that kept giving us the runaround for the refresh. So yeah, because we thought this was going to be done a year ago, and it's like it's still not even done. So
You mean refresh of the website?
yeah, the whole website. It never got done. The only changes that have been made are the ones I made. And it's what's frustrating is like they kept saying, "Oh, it's coming," but it hasn't come yet. So, and I get annoyed because it needs to be fixed. We were going to do this more than a year ago, and they told us it was coming, but it's just the city manager's upset as well. But we're hoping to get it back on track soon. But I just need to keep pressing to get it done because. But that to add that comment and that suggestion thing is good, because I think we can make that with a Google form.
Exactly. Okay, does anybody else have further comments, questions, or suggestions for metrics and reporting for tonight?
No.
I'm sure we'll bring it up again because I know I want to hear Amir's feedback too.
I agree.
And then I think at some point in time, like I said, we'll slowly start working towards a strategic plan. Because I really like having those because they'll guide us. And like I told the staff, they'll guide us even with, it'll be something that moves with us no matter where we go. The plan goes with us. So it's more about our services and the impact that we're having on the community that we're trying to map and make sure that we're meeting those targets. So
Great. So
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, I'm going to continue to think about and try to figure out things that we've done in our small set of people that seems to have worked and hit and miss things. And it should be an ongoing discussion that we continue to have, because it is pretty interesting to figure out how, you know, to get as many people involved and into the building and using the resources as possible. It's a good conundrum.
Franklin, since every meeting we review the metrics, we can, we can have that as an ongoing opportunity for people to share other thoughts and requests, and certainly, for instance, next meeting to capture Amir's feedback on it as well.
Yeah, because at some point, like I said, we'll really start working on a true strategic plan, and that's a lot different than this. This will be more of like us starting to brainstorm questions that we want to ask, looking at stuff, different things that we're going to try to measure, looking at the mission statement, our vision, trying to find the city's mission statement. I know it's somewhere. So those things that we're trying to push into a plan, so we can start make sure that we're aiming in the right direction, and then we can still keep pace with technology and different trends that are that are constantly changing libraries. Because it's one thing that I've always joked about, that the libraries always have been about change. As much as some librarians hate that, change is the only thing constant in our business. So
Okay, thank you. Let's progress to item 7.2, building forward library infrastructure and the grant update. Again, Franklin, to you.
So if you went to last council meeting, we presented the full, the grant proposal went to the state. We got it in on time. We're just now waiting to figure out when spring is for the state library to announce their announcement. So they just said they would announce it in spring. If we're not in the first round, we may be in the second round, but we may not get the full amount of money, or we may not get anything. So this was really just to let the city council know and the commons know that the price of everything has gone up due to building, building costs have increased. There's lots of different stuff in there. Part of this project, though, I started looking at our history, and that was when I started finding that we're missing lots of stuff. So there are no photos of the library prior to the 1984 remodel, except for 3 photos that I sent out to a bunch of people asking if they could identify where these were. And one of them was the corner of the reading room, which used to be the children's room. One we think was the hallway, because the library and City Hall were not connected, but there was no public entrance into City Hall. So the public had to go outside through the children's door, which is our front door at one time, to get into the City Hall. But we think that one photo is a doorway of where the bathrooms were in the hallway, and a bunch of books everywhere. Because Director Kilborn Larry gave me this article that he did in '82 when they were trying to raise the money to do the remodel, and he had books piled high on top of the shelves, and then they also took over a classroom down the street full of library books. They were all cataloged, because in the photo you could see all the call numbers on the books. So, but he took advantage of the airspace, and that's why we have the 2 floors in what used to be the fire station a long time ago. So, but yeah, I dug up a lot of the history, but we're missing lots of photos, lots of gaps. I have a footprint of the building prior to the '84 remodel, because it was in a magazine article that was done, so I could see what City Hall looked like. But we really have went from a reading room to pretty much occupying the first floor of City Hall. The only thing we haven't taken over are the admin offices, but all the storage down here belongs to the library. We have things hidden everywhere. Larky is actually upstairs in the city council storage. So we have slowly moved into all bits and pieces. The big thing for the grant proposal was that we had to recreate our shared space. So we basically, in the footprint of the new building, includes the council chambers, the hallways, the bathrooms upstairs, the kitchen, and the lobby, all the lobby space out front here. So that was all included in that 6,800 square foot footprint, because we do share the space. And as all of you know who come to programs, there's times where we can't use the council chamber, so we're stuck inside the reading room, and we over capacity it. So, but I use a lot of those images. You guys watch the film. I use those images that the friends sent me. I got pictures from city council meetings, so we could show people what it looks like on a typical program day. But a lot of the things that were in the remodel in the 80s, the only reason we have the ramp on the outside of the building was because in 1980, the Social Security Administration passed the Disabilities Act. And then the state had a Disabilities Act. So that's the reason we have the ramp, but no one thought about the inside. So build the inside and you're stuck. So we had to illustrate that we really, it's going to be more cost effective to build a new building. I went out and filmed, and I really wish I had a microphone, because the day I was out there filming, a lady was complaining about why she doesn't come to the library anymore, and it's because she can't park, and her husband gets mad, and so they go to the Corte Madera library because parking is much easier. And it's like, oh, I wish I had a microphone, because that would have been a great interview, because she really, I mean, because if you think about it, if you have children and you have strollers and you can't park close by, you have to haul that all out, walk down the street to come to the library. We have one handicap parking space. The next one that's closest to us, I think, is across the street by the church. And there's another one down the street by the Italian restaurant. Those are the only handicap spots. And as you know, only the side door here has handicap accessibility. Even the children's door doesn't have that. So when we reopened for City Hall did, we really were seeing patrons struggle going up and down the stairs. We know that the staff needed was going to come in a wheelchair, that we would have to go out to City Hall and escort them into the building, because they couldn't just come in on their own when the City Hall was closed. So we showed all those deficiencies, but I really liked the part where we put the overlay of the property and the concept drawing. So at some point in time, I want to work with Joe to create something that we can put up on social media, because we are getting closer to the target. And I just hopefully that they'll do it by December, but also to that will be, because we said that was what we're going to have if we get the money we asked from the state. But our fingers crossed that we're going to get it or get something. So, and it's like I told them, like, let's ask for the sky, and we'll work with whatever they give us. So, and I think with the Commons has a really good plan. If we could just continue to get the support of building up the public's support of funding it. So we'll make that 5 million, and then if we have to do the building in phases, we'll do it in phases, but we'll get a building. We'll be somewhere. So, but we're still not sure where that's going to be, because council needs to bring up that discussion again and start the process of at least laying out the roadmap of where we're going. And I was hoping after this last council meeting, they start bringing it up again, because it seemed like they took a pause for us to do the grant process. So.
And Franklin, you shared the report from the city of Larkspur.
Yeah, so the whole report that was in the agenda, that it's the entire application and supplementary stuff, and then the Kitchell report, which was updated prior to us submitting the grant application, because the public works director was working with them to get inflation numbers, because we had to make sure that we covered all those costs. Because yeah, right now we know just from other construction that the price has gone up just for that construction due to supply and supply issues. You know, that for a while we couldn't get concrete, we couldn't get steel, so it delayed a lot of stuff, which increases the price. And as you know, inflation's getting really crazy right now, so that's also not helped us. So the next project
really
for me
good.
What, Joe?
It looks really good, Franklin.
Yeah. So the next project for us.
Nice to have that video that accompanies it too, I think. But
Well,
that's congratulations on getting it all done.
If you read through that grant, the actual application, that is the most aggravating grant I've ever had to write. It wasn't the normal narrative, stuff that you would write in, and I kept writing narrative, and I kept having to rip it out. And then this is why I felt like I was writing in circles. I'm just glad Julian and Dan could pull out the gems and stick them in there, because we're trying to show them our EDI issues. We're trying to show them the ADA issues. We're trying to show them all the other life and safety issues, but you can't always do that in 200 words. Like, it was so like, how do we say that, where the library is going to be is by the schools with access with public transportation. It's really the most frustrating thing. I know directors in other libraries that just didn't even bother. They were just so flustered with the application process. So
I think it looks really good. So
yeah, I also flipped through it, and it just it's extensive, right? I can see how much time it took, and the video is great. And so I know I got to jump off in a couple minutes, but very appreciative of the work everyone put into it. So sounds like a team effort, but sounds like you were driving the bus there.
Well, and I need to find some volunteers because we need to start tracking down the missing history that we have. So I'm gonna need some volunteers to go dig through old newspapers and microfilm to see if we can find some old photos of the library, of these council chambers when it was downstairs. There are a lot more articles. Director Kilborn didn't get credit on the city's website. That pretty much verbatim is what he wrote in a newspaper article at the 75th anniversary of Larkspur. So he needs to get some credit on the website. And I need to track down Francis's interview. If they did an interview with Francis, and I'm not sure where that interview went. So I'm trying to get those, but I need some volunteers to help track down that history. I've already reached out to the people who wrote past and present, the preservation board. So to find some volunteers who aren't working on a project already. But it sounds like they're gonna have to really go to the county library to go through the California room and start going through everything, because nothing, the Twin City Times, which is a paper for Carter Madera and Larkspur, has not been indexed and it's not on microfilm. So it has to be, they have to go through the newspaper to find articles about the library that aren't just our hours. I found lots of articles that are just our hours. So we had our hours all over the area. So
I echo Andy's comment, just great job. Video was great. Materials are extensive, clearly a very large amount of work. Great job, Franklin. And anything else in 7.2 from you?
no, it's just that I wanted to show you the same thing that we showed council. So so you guys get to see everything, the whole, I mean, if you've been to the council meeting, you've seen it too, but they didn't ask me any questions, so I was really happy. So I always get nervous talking in front of council, and that was our first hybrid meeting, which will lead us into the next business item.
So Franklin, did the resolution pass at that?
Yes, so the resolution was passed. So we now have every bit of the application that we need. So what was funny was this resolution, they said, you need it, but you don't need to turn it in. And it was really just, I think what they were really trying to avoid was having a library support group go out and apply for the application without the city or municipality's blessing. Because some of this stuff is really like geared at making sure that you go through the city processes. But that resolution one was like, the most, like I found the last day, but when I went and read back through the stuff, I was like, I calmed down because I thought, oh my God, we just ruined it, like it's ruined. But all we have to do is make sure that we have it before they make the announcement of if you get it or not. So if we get it, then we're good to go, we're set. But like Catherine Way said at the council meeting, we've been going at a really slow pace. Once this grant, if we're approved, that throws us onto the highway, and it will be a very fast process because the money has to be expended by 2026. So we only have a few years to get it all spent. And as you know, building buildings is not always the fastest. It's not like when we built City Hall in 5 months. It's going to take more than 5 months to build the library, especially if we're building it with modern standards, and if we're continuing to have supply and demand issues like we have right now. So
great. Okay, thank you. The next item, 7.3, the future meetings discussion. Franklin.
So really, this is just about your comfort level. Are you all comfortable coming back into the council chambers to have the library board meetings? Or are you, some of you concerned and not concerned? I mean, that's it really, I just want to make sure that you're comfortable before, because if you're not comfortable, we can do the hybrid model. It's a little more tricky, and I don't think right now we need, I don't know which commission will go first. Somebody has to go first. So we'll figure out how a hybrid works for one of the commissions, either you, the planning, or the Parks and Rec, or Historic Resources. But I just wanted to gauge your guys' feelings about coming back in person. We also have the support groups. So Barbara and probably Jean and occasionally Larry would come in to represent the support groups. But it's really about your comfort level. If you're all comfortable coming back in, we can resume in-person meetings beginning at the main meeting. But I wanted to make sure that you're okay with it before I say, hey, y'all have to come back in.
So are you asking each person to weigh in on their comfort level?
Yeah. So I want to know how you guys feel. How do you feel coming back in person? So
I'm fine with either. In person's great if you want to do it. If others aren't comfortable, I'm good either way, whatever people are most comfortable with. I'm flexible. And I do have to hop, so I apologize that I have to leave early.
No, it's okay. Thanks, Andy. So we got through the stuff we wanted to get your feedback on too. So.
I haven't given it much thought, but I'm like Andy, and I would probably go either. I could go either way too.
Same with me. I am ready to come back in if everybody's going to be there. If one person would be missing, I can certainly stay on Zoom just to make sure that all support groups and all board members can attend. So
Oh
if
yeah.
hybrid doesn't work for a meeting, then we can, if you can switch back and forth according to attendees, it's fine with me. As long as there's notice, so I don't show up at the door when I'm needed in my in my office.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, with Joe being out of town, it would certainly always be nice to have Joe there. And if Barbara, if it's more convenient for her or any of us, you know, maybe we could do the hybrid thing. But whatever, you know, hopefully we'll all be together at some point soon. But
Yeah, because I know council had Marin TV come in and help us do the council meeting, but I don't think they would do that for the commissions of the board. So we just have to figure out how we did it on our own. But it's doable. It is doable. We have, you know, if you guys brought your laptops or something, we could all sit there with everybody on mute. And then we've been doing our management meetings that way, because some of the departments like the police and fire don't always come in. So we do I know our HR director usually does it remotely too. So we do all those they're on the screen, and they can hear us through the microphone of the computer. But I just want to make sure you guys were all okay, because also remember too, once we have public, if there's public that comes to the meeting, which I think is very rare, but it can happen, then that I think the capacity for the council chambers right now is reduced to half. So they're not even filling up the full council chamber. Because I know as a staff member, we were warned at council that if the public come in, we would have to go to our offices to do our reports. Because I know that our budget report is on the 20th, where I'll do our budget presentation. Which I just realized I haven't done yet. So.
Franklin, I too am happy and comfortable to come in person and also support a hybrid or continuing on Zoom to accommodate. And I think we just should optimize for the lowest common denominator.
Okay.
And I also volunteer to bring a laptop to any or all meetings that we could use for Zoom.
Well, we have mine. I have my laptop because that's I carry it around with me all the time. And then we have I have two little ones, and we can always borrow a library one as well. Because I think we have one that's not always checked out. So there we will be. I think we'll be fine. And I'm sure I think the city clerk has one too that we have in the chamber all the time. So
okay, fantastic. Okay, that concludes 7, and that brings us to status reports from our support groups.
Okay, Barbara, I'm going to promote you to the panel now. Comes Barbara Friday, the president of the Friends of the Library. Our champions. There you are, Barbara.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Barbara, nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see everyone too. Oh, I have such great news. I'm so sorry that Andy had to leave, but very quickly, I am going to let you know that Touch Trucks is the name of our fundraiser for the Commons Foundation. All of our support groups, library support groups, are involved. The trustees in the person of Amir, the foundation in the person of Lori Ogletree, and the Friends of the Library, and the Commons Foundation is tremendously involved with Serena and Joe. So we're all together in this, and I'm very proud of the work that's been done by all of these individuals who are contributing just so unselfishly with their time. It's a big event. It's going to work. Tickets go on sale on Eventbrite April 15th, and you can purchase them directly through Eventbrite or through the Commons Foundation, or through the Friends website. Ticket costs are $25 per family of up to 6, or $5 for individual. And we will make arrangements for there to be a guest list and for people, access for people who can't afford those amounts. So we'll more than likely be working with the Canal Alliance directly for that, with some sort of coupon perhaps. We chose Sunday specifically, and we're very grateful to the Tamalpais Union School District because we are using their parking lot for free, both parking lots of the Redwood High School. But we chose Sunday because Saturdays, those parking lots are frequently full for activities that are going on at the school. But if you'll notice, Sundays are really quite empty. And Chris McCune, who is their community outreach person, has been incredibly wonderful and very supportive. So Sunday wasn't an accident, it was actually intentional. The event time is from 10 to 2, and we'll be loading trucks in as early as 7 o'clock that morning. Right now we've got 20 to 26 trucks that are participating, all the regulars and some really special fun things. We are making sure that your daughters will be just as happy as your sons, when they come into the event. We have 2 sponsors right now. I'm still actively looking for sponsors, but we received kind donations from Marin Sanitary and also from Shamrock Materials. We're hoping for more, of course. We're particularly looking for sponsors who can help us buy some small electric vehicles, to the tune of about $1,000 for both, like a little girl and a little boy for our drawings. So that, as well as perhaps some other activities that we would have at the event. But as my experienced team tells me, it's all about the kids and it's all about the trucks. So that's what we're really going for. I don't mean to say that it isn't all about the library too, because that's our overarching, reason for the whole thing. So at this point, we need volunteers. We're going to need about 60 people to, in 2 shifts to help us, because we're really expecting at least 500 people. We have contacts in all of the schools, preschools, and organizations that we will be sending digital materials to, as well as postcards, more like an event announcement. So they'll be in classrooms, they'll be in schools, they'll be in businesses, as well as electronically. They will be in everybody's digital digital assignments for the week. So we are making sure that the word goes out. And finally, what I would say is we're still doing tons and tons of planning. We're about 5 weeks out. We're sort of drilling down now, but it's been quite an effort because this is the first time we've done anything like this. But we are wanting it to be a fun family event. And in fact, 3 of us of the planning team just attended a similar event called Touch a Truck. By the way, we're not calling it Touch a Truck anymore because you have to pay $500 for the use of that trademark, and we didn't want to get the city in trouble. So it's called Touch Trucks, which we think is a good, $500 savings and a good substitute. But we went to a Touch a Truck that was put on by a preschool in Redwood City over the weekend. And it was a joyous, fun event. Primarily, it was focused towards preschoolers. So the target audience was a little bit shorter than and younger than the folks that we think that we'll see. But it was in every way enjoyable, and probably was a little less organized than ours, but we got some, I think what I took away from that particular visit was this is very possible. It's going to go very smoothly. People are going to have a good time. And, you want to make sure you have enough food there because, they had arranged for 4 food trucks and only 1 showed up. And, that was a little bit of a So there was a long line. That was probably the one thing they regret. They also regretted not having more volunteers and a little more parking. But for example, people will park in the west parking lot of Redwood High School, and they will walk through and be greeted by all of our volunteers. Hopefully they will have purchased their tickets on Eventbrite. They'll pass right through onto the trucks, have a very nice experience, and that'll happen from 10 to 2. So that's how it's looking. Do you guys have any specific questions? You're all on the guest list. You are all invited. Bring everybody you know.
It
And
sounds
in the
wonderful.
meantime, plan to help if you possibly can. Plan to sign up as a volunteer.
So my question, Barbara, is this going to become an annual thing?
Oh, I think so, but we'll see how it goes.
Good job, Barbara. This sounds like it's going to be great.
It
Yeah,
sounds very
like I
well
said, I need you. I seriously need volunteers. So we can't do a good job. We want it to be successful. We want a high quality event. We don't want it to look chaotic. We want it to be smooth and fun for everyone. And that takes participation and Frank, and also, the friends will be funding this. So we'll be spending some money to rent tables and, buying balloons and making sure people are well identified. Our volunteers are well identified. So there are some expenses associated with this, which we will gladly incur. By the way, I have a shout out to Joe and his team, because they have just a crackerjack promotions group. And Serena has done so many large events that it's been wonderful to have their oversight. And Joe keeps picking up a little, bills here and there for publicity. So I just have to say thank you to Joe. Don't know if he's on tonight, if he's going to be.
No, he didn't come tonight, but
Yeah, if
we'll
he's
let him
on,
know.
but his group has been just super valuable.
Everybody please volunteer. I need Barbara to survive this, and she needs
Yeah.
help.
Yep. By the way, Armel will know that this is my second fundraiser that's happening in this spring. So I'm running 2. So I'm particularly crazy.
So
and,
what is the other one you're doing?
begging
the,
for support.
What's the other one you're doing, Barbara?
Yeah, I'm doing the Corte Madera Women's Improvement Club Giant Indoor Yard Sale, which is happening on April 30th. But again, we'll go very smoothly, I'm sure.
When Bigfoot shows up at the truck, Bigfoot shows up at the Corte Madera Women's Club. Then we know we got them mixed up, right?
I don't get the Bigfoot reference.
It's that big truck. It was this big truck that used to drive over everything.
Fun. Oh,
you
yeah.
Get mixed up and it goes to the wrong event. So.
Yeah.
Barbara, you are a powerhouse. I am.
Yes, Barbara, you're awesome. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'll just make the personal comment, by the way, to this group, because I know you all watched me, sort of recover from my surgery and cancer treatments. And I feel great, and my energy level is all back. So it's all good. I'm very happy to be making this contribution. And I feel with Franklin that we are really close on our goals here to get a new library built. It's so gratifying. It's beyond belief. And my heart goes out to Joe and his team who continue to carry the torch for that.
Well, for everybody who's put their money towards it, I think everybody who's done that it is a community effort, and the community is coming forward. So
yeah.
Guys,
all right. Well, that's it for me, unless anyone has any questions.
No, thank you, Barbara. Take care of yourself. And I'll see you in a week. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, that was great. Franklin, I don't believe there are any other.
There's no the comments didn't I just know that they're at the 3 million mark, and I think Jean is going to go move the books up. Larry, I haven't heard. I know Larry was on vacation when I sent the email out, so there is no report yet from the foundation. So
Okay, great, thank you. So let's move to future agenda items, and I'll open the floor for recommendations for future items, and then we can establish a date for the next meeting. I'll just note that we've left library metrics and reporting and strategic planning open, so certainly we will revisit that. And we'll also hear from Joe at our next meeting as usual. Any other specific items people would like to request?
I don't have anything.
Okay,
That covers it.
Armel, anything from you?
All I had was this mention of the bags of donated books, but I am not certain that the board should be discussing it, anything, unless Franklin has an issue that he will need our help.
Oh, I mean, it's,
So
yeah,
we
I'm
can
not
put
really
that
sure.
on the agenda for next time, or you can just take it as a comment and deal with it and just come back to us if you need suggestions.
No, and next month we'll also have a full budget review because we didn't get to do it this time, so.
Okay,
Right.
great. Okay, thank you. Next meeting date.
It's the schedule, it should be on May 9th, which is the second Monday of the month, so.
So that would be, I'm looking at it right now.
That's okay with me.
I will not be here, but I will not be here for most of the month of May. So, and I will miss the Touch Trucks event.
Send you photos.
I know I'm getting to be really. I think I'm going to miss a big thing, but
So Franklin, is that date May 9th?
Yeah, May 9th is the second Monday of May, so.
Okay. So it sounds like for Armel, there's not a better date if you're out all of May.
correct.
Well, if it's just our no, we should still have quorum, so that's the most important thing is quorum. So if we don't get quorum, then we have no meeting, so.
Yeah, okay, so let's plan that for the 9th then of May. That'll be our next meeting. And unless there are other topics, we've completed tonight's agenda. So may I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I will second.
Okay, so adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Franklin, thank you as always for your tireless work. Amazing accomplishments. Thank you, Armel and Jeff. And Armel, enjoy May if we don't see you.
Yeah, enjoy May. Franklin, enjoy your vacation starting
Yes,
tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to it. So, and the time is 7:45, so.
Well, okay. Have a
Thank you,
great night.
Jonathan. Thank you all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.